We want to welcome you to the Exhorter podcast. You don't know this, but it's taken us about 10 minutes just to record this intro because we don't have a really good work ethic, and I think that's what Nate wants to talk about today. But we are sure glad to see you on the Exhorter podcast, where it is our aim to stir up love and good works through bite-sized biblical conversation.
There you go.
Well, Nate, let's talk about work ethic.
Thank you for stealing my thunder.
It's discussion.
Yeah.
Not content.
Yeah. Well, in any case, yes, Kyle.
Are we conversing back and forth?
Now I'm feeling guilty, like maybe I didn't put enough effort into this
I
episode.
just think you never. I'll pause. It's not that hard. It's just an opening. Like
I have to be different, John.
Every time. Like the clip on one of the last episodes where he literally found a way to ruin my recordings at all times.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think you need a better work ethic.
Oh, back to Nate. Welcome.
Hey, phoning it in has worked pretty good for the first 39 years of my life. So
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about work ethic because I'm a teacher. And in June, I do not have to go, starting in June, I don't have to go to work. And so for June and July, I don't do much work. And I realize that I kind of struggle with laziness, especially in the months of June and July. And John, when you texted me the other day and said, "Hey, what do you want to talk about on the podcast?" I said, I'm not sure. But then I had this thought, because this is something that I struggle with, is work ethic. So
I don't, because I don't try. So it's not a struggle.
Oh, very good. Okay.
I'm kidding.
You're not kicking against the goads there, huh?
Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about work. What is work ethic? And do you guys, ever struggle with laziness? Okay, John, you don't.
Do I actually have to answer? John is like a shark, where if a shark stops moving, it dies.
Yeah. Yes. That's why I was like, okay, John, this doesn't even apply to you.
Does it really die?
It can't breathe.
Oh, really?
There are a handful of
water flow
sharks
through
that
them.
can be at rest for a period of time, but most sharks need to keep moving or they'll die. And that's how I've always described John to other people that don't know him.
Shark? Really?
Yeah.
You are
There's
always
worse things to be
You're always
known as
working.
Like
shark.
like a nurse shark. One of the more.
Hello, shark.
Hey, at least you're not a whale shark.
Yeah.
Or a lemon shark. You're a nice lemon shark, John.
What's that thing?
Yeah, you could bite, but I wouldn't be afraid to snorkel with it.
I have moments of laziness. So work ethic is one's. It's a belief system, right? It's your thought about work, your perspective about work, right?
Yeah.
And its value and its importance. And
Yeah. Kyle, what about you?
Well, I've always understood that if you wait till the last minute, then anything you have to do will only take 1 minute. Okay, that's a joke, but I have struggled with this my whole life. I don't think that's a shock to anybody. I joke about it because it's actually a very serious thing in my life that I just struggle to find a good work ethic. Is every time John gives me homework, I'm always like, I'm going to surprise him this time. And like, we're planning our youth forum for November, and I was supposed to talk to Chris Emerson and hammer out the dates. And I literally made a list that morning, and Chris Emerson was like second on that list. And I'm like, I'm going to call him today. And John texts me, and it kind of steals my thunder. I'm like, well, now I can't surprise him with it. But also, like, I told him I'd do this like a month ago. So like, he didn't know that I was actually going to do it that day. But it's because I neglected to do it so long. And every time I get a project like this, where it's like, I got to speak at the Florida College lecture. So I had to write a manuscript and had it, I had just PTSD flashbacks to college and like writing a paper that is properly with all the right
MLA
grammar
format,
and,
APA format,
and the right what do you call it, notations or what do you call it, citations,
footnotes,
proper footnotes and citations. And I was just like panicking and like, I'm going to get this done so early. And I had one of those like 52-hour stretches right before it was due. And then they said, "Oh, you can turn it late. It's not a big deal." Even the big projects, I'm like, I'm going to do it early this time. And I just never can summon the
willpower.
I mean, I've done all right for myself throughout life.
And
I do pretty good, when the heat's on, and I was telling myself, I just need the pressure to get it done. But I also know, like, it's worked for me, but I also know I could be doing better.
Don't nag so much, because I have a different perspective about this topic, which I'll talk about in a little bit once we get past the work ethic part. But it just being busy isn't always a good thing.
No, Paul talks about that. I think it's in one of the letters to the Thessalonians. Yeah. He said, some of you guys are busybodies and you're not actually working. Don't do that.
Well, I mean, when I talked about the subject to my wife, from my perspective, it was like, I think one can be too busy and not focused on what's important, or be too focused on work because of the desire to provide. You can lose sight of things that are important. And I had a good chunk of my career life where I was focused on something, and I was pretty humbled with the perspective that at the end of the day, it didn't really equal up to what I thought it was going to. It didn't pay off the dividends, all that work. And then I kind of look back and realize there's a lot of my kids' childhood that I was pretty distracted and focused. So I do think it's important to have a strong work ethic. I don't think that that's not valuable, but I do think there are, just with anything, there are consequences to an unbalanced life.
Sure. So when I first started doing some research for this episode, I looked back and I thought that work was kind of a consequence of being kicked out of the garden, because in Genesis 3:17 through 19, let me just read it here. God says to Adam, because you've listened to the voice of your wife and you've eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat. Cursed is the ground because of you, in pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread. And so I had initially thought, well, work was the punishment to Adam for sin. But actually, if you go back to Genesis 2, work existed before that. Genesis 2:15, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to keep it. Work was not a curse to them. Work was actually a blessing, if you will, in the garden. But I think, I mean, we have that phrase even, work is the other 4-letter word. Why do you think we have maybe a negative outlook, generally speaking, towards work?
Because we're too materialistic.
Well, okay. All right. Let's go with we're too. John did a good monologue for a minute. So
nice.
Kyle, why do you think we're too materialistic? What do you mean?
Well, it just means that the standard of what we're working for, and it's so different throughout most of the history during Bible times, both Old and New Testament. For the majority of people on earth, I suspect it was work a day, eat a day. Or maybe you worked for a season, stored up your food, but you were basically working for your daily bread.
Sure.
And there wasn't this idea of maybe you built up flocks or built up some property. Like there was some idea of, but I think for the most part, your work was connected to I'm
living,
I'm providing for my daily needs and for my families. And this idea of saving up money to buy big things, to buy vacations. I think vacations is a fairly recent, from historical standpoint, recent, at least for something that isn't just for the elites or royalty.
Right. So is retirement.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Retirement.
I've tried to figure out if I could sell like a reverse retirement, like retire in your 20s.
Yes. I love that idea. I thought of that myself.
And people, I don't know, people find a way around it, but or you just give them a loan so they don't have to work in their 20s. They can retire.
Let me enjoy my 20s.
And then they can pay it off the rest of their life.
Work me,
and then you can pay it off
until
when
I'm
you can't
80.
work anymore.
Yeah, work me until I'm 80, but I just want to run around while I still can run.
But my point is our standard of what we think we need is based on just greed and materialism, and we got to have what everyone else has. And of course,
Solomon says that in Ecclesiastes, that the reason we work is the envy of his neighbor.
Yeah. And of course, it's even more intensified in America. We're a very wealthy nation where the poorest of the poor here are on a global standard in better position than they're in the upper half. Even the lowest of the low here have more benefit or more.
They got a cell phone and a big screen TV.
Yeah. And so even the poverty line here is above the wealthiest of some nations.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
It's just intensified here, the materialism. So our idea of work is that we're working for things that won't make us happy, but we're convinced will. So it creates this endless cycle of work. So we're not seeing the correlation of work and it's providing for me for today. We're working for something that we're chasing after that we'll never achieve.
Yeah.
We'll never be satisfied with it. So I think that's one problem why we look at work as a negative thing, because it's just all these things. We've almost become a slave to the things we need, and work is just something we have to do to pay all the bills for all the loans we got for stuff that just won't make us happy.
So we selfishly thought that the new car and the big house and the nice clothes and the whatever would make us happy.
And we buy things we can't afford.
And so we worked our tails off to, be able to have those things. And then they didn't make us happy, but we still have the bill and we got to pay off the bill.
I'm obligated to pay for it. So I got to work.
Okay.
But your original question was, why is
work a dirty word?
Yeah. Why is it like a
you said because it's hard.
It's hard. So that's the toil. That is the actual aspect of the punishment. There is the toil of it. But I think, I guess we over time have gotten used to valuing the idea of rest and the idea of our time, selfishness and relaxing and resting from that work than we do the benefits that we get from the work.
100%. Yeah.
And so I think that sometimes we end up valuing the results of the work, kind of what Kyle was saying, the outcomes of the work, than we do the means to the end.
Yeah.
Or we get our perspective skewed at what the end really is.
Yeah.
The accumulation of material things.
Oh, right.
And Ecclesiastes 4 says that, too, is talking about, every skillful man is envied by his neighbor and stuff. It talks about the vanity, that acquisition, the rat race of acquisition and looking over your neighbor's, fence. I do think work is hard, and that's probably why we have a negative kind of a perspective that we're thinking about the result of the work. And then we kind of have that, Kyle, with work, we kind of feel, especially these days, like the locus of control is a little off there. We think no matter how much we work, we still have less, like because of taxes, because of economics and stuff. So a lot of times we feel like no matter how hard we work for something, I don't know if you guys feel that way.
Yeah,
you're not moving it.
It's always getting away from you. Yeah. So you're setting the goalpost as like monetary success. Like no matter how hard you work, sometimes it always feels like the goalpost of, if it's monetary success and things of this world, is always moving as you're working towards it.
Yeah, big you said it, more money, more problems. So.
Well, you talk about locus of control. That's sort of like what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that you can work for money or you can have money work for you.
Yeah.
And that idea is, if you work for someone, you can work hard and just hope you get recognized and get paid more, but you're always going to sort of be at the mercy of the bottom line of whatever the company's bills are.
Yeah. He who has the gold makes the rules. Well, that's a biblical principle too. The poor will be slave to the rich.
Yeah. But
they're the ones who are going to have the power.
But Colossians 3 gives us
John,
gives us some insight.
Would you maybe read Colossians 3:17? Well, you know what? Let's hold that. I
know you're going out of order here. I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm prepared. That's right. That's okay. I stopped you in time. So we talked about work's not always enjoyable. It's difficult. Kyle, you brought up the kind of the materialistic motivations for work and how those are empty.
And for all my criticisms of, just in general of Gen Z and millennial and that those age groups, that is one thing I do appreciate, is I have noticed a desire to have less. And so, like, yes, you're chasing after something that isn't as material, but it's still worldly. You get the van lifers.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you're still chasing after something that probably still won't satisfy you the same as fearing God and keeping His commandments and seeking a relationship with your Creator and glorifying Him. But I do appreciate at least that there is a sort of a push for, or even just the jokes on social media about how cluttered our boomer parents' houses are. And if you've ever had to help your parents downsize from the house you grew up in to one half the size. Sorry, I know my dad listens to this. Call me when you hear this podcast, Dad.
Yeah.
But so I do appreciate, that is one thing I do appreciate, is this trend of we're okay with less stuff.
Sure. Yeah. The old bumper sticker, he who dies with the most toys wins, is not actually true.
I didn't think we had an issue with laziness in as far as statistically out in the world. Like, I think most people, it's probably overworking that we have more of a problem with than with laziness. But then again, in that sense of the van lifers, there is the ideals of like European nations and stuff that work less hours in a day and less days in a week and have more vacation time. And just there's a little sense of entitlement out there that I should, because I want to have a lot of vacation and because I want to relax and I want to enjoy life. And that's what life is for. Because I desire those things, I should have those things.
Yeah, and that's where I almost feel like the van life maybe is an overcorrection. I appreciate that there's this move away from material possession, but now it becomes sort of this aimless pursuit of experience that also won't satisfy the soul.
Yeah. The social media highlight
reel. That's what you're living for.
And that you should actually, like, that shouldn't just be given to you by people. Like a company shouldn't be the perks of a company to employ people at a certain age. There are people who have to work hard for many years to get to something.
A really good example is my friends Mark and Cindy Dunnigan. You can check out Nomads, You and I think it's .com, but you can check out their webpage. They retired. He was a preacher I grew up with. They retired and they traveled in a van. It was like a Winnebago for like 2 or 3 years. And now they live part of the year in Florida. And then, 4 or 5 months out of the year, they travel, but otherwise they stay residents in Florida. And so they worked hard. They earned it in a financial sense, but they were seeing things, experiencing things, having fun. But along the way, they were very devoted to doing online blogs and podcasts and going and visiting churches purposefully and blogging about their experiences. They wrote a great book called 100 Churches, where they visited 100 churches of Christ across the country and wrote about their experiences in great detail. And you check out their Facebook page, and they're always chatting up people at the RV parks they're staying at. So they have a purpose. They're not just aimlessly wandering and searching for something. They're glorifying God. They're having fun and enjoying all the things to see and do in this country, but they have a purpose in what they're doing too. I think they're a really good model. So trying to find some balance.
So even though they're retired,
they're working harder than ever.
Yeah, they're still working. Yeah, for sure. So, like, I know for me, there are some things that prevent me from working hard. So I'm just going to share some of these, and you can tell me if you guys, struggle with these too. Number one, maybe the work I'm doing, I don't like it. I fear failing. Like if I try really hard and it doesn't work, like I'm afraid of that. That I'm not good at whatever it is I'm doing. So then I don't really work all that hard because I think like, well, I'm not very good at this. I don't respect who I'm working with or for. Like I don't really respect my boss. So it's like, well, I'm just gonna put half effort into this. Or this is one that I really struggle with. Or I don't see how if I put in full effort, it's really truly going to benefit me. Like I'm going to get the same paycheck at the end of the month if I put in 100% as if I put in 50%. So why am I going to work harder?
I panicked when I got into high school, that transition into high school, about how it's so much bigger, like the building's so much bigger and there's so many more classes to take and it's going to have so much more homework. And I was just so panicked about it. In my first semester, I think I got like all A's and maybe 1 B or straight A's or something like 3.8, 3.9, something like that. And I was like, that wasn't so hard.
Yeah.
And the rest of high school was just me giving less and less effort. Uh-huh. And I still graduated on the honor roll with a 3.5 GPA.
Yeah.
And so it was just that was something I struggled with early on, was that exact thing right there is like, I'm still going to graduate and I'm still going to get good grades. But why do I want to overachieve when just achieving is
working out?
Yes. I'm still in this upper half of my, I'm in the upper quarter of my class,
sure,
grade wise. So like, why bust myself working harder?
Yeah. Well, I know that's something that I struggle with. John, of that list that I shared, do any of those? Are you challenged with any of those?
No, not really. No, when I really think, Nate, that this is really kind of a funny thing because I look at you and I think you're working 2 jobs most of the time, and I mean that's all. I wish I had the bandwidth to work as much as I think you work in some cases. So I don't really see maybe what you see in yourself as much often. I think that's kind of one of those things is we judge ourselves, and yeah, I've had many opportunities where I procrastinate. Kyle, I am a procrastinator too, where I will have like a long list of things I know I need to do, like edit a podcast, and it takes me like 3-4 days to do it because I'm dragging my feet, and I look at the shiny thing.
Yeah.
The want to do, not the need to do. Maybe the thing that I want to do, or that thing that seems a little easier to do, and I push that harder thing to the end. But also, it's really hard to give everything I've got to something that I don't want. I don't think I'm being appreciated, or I don't feel like I'm getting something back at, which I think it gets.
Does anyone even listen to our podcast? Like, what's
we have a few fans. I feel like at the end of the day, that's what work ethic is about. It's approaching all work with a goal or a rule that it's not for me, it's for something else or someone else. It's like, giving glory to God.
Work as
service.
All
that we're doing. Work as a service. It's not always about what you get from it.
I think in some ways that's why I might have gravitated towards being a preacher, is I sort of invalidate most of those excuses, and that I know my work is important. I like the boss I work for, and I know me, so I think that's part of why. There's a lot of reasons why I chose the path I'm on, but I think that's part of it. Is I wanted to put myself in an environment where I sort of remove some of my biggest hurdles in work ethic. And so I still struggle with it, but I think I do better than high school Kyle did, because I feel the importance of the work I do. And I know, so 1 Corinthians 15:58, do you have that one in your notes?
I have that one memorized, but
okay. I always love it when I guess a scripture from one of y'all's outlines that you didn't use, but fits. So try this one on. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58. Memorized. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. And so I read that one often when I'm struggling or feeling like I need some motivation. What I do, no matter how much effort I put, if I don't see the visible results, it was not wasted time. If it was done to glorify God, and if it's not hundreds of people being brought to the Lord from one effort, well, if one person listens and benefits, it was hugely successful.
But does that even apply to like secular work? Like, what if I'm a software engineer?
That's my struggle. And I'll be really honest with you guys. Like, one of the hardest things to deal with for me is my grandpa was a preacher, and he worked for...
No, that's my sales pitch for you to become a preacher.
Yeah, no, seriously. So for like 50, 60 years, and I have wished that I could have an eloquence of a preacher. I have different talents, but I have wanted to be a preacher so many times. One of the struggles there is I have friends with so many preachers, so I would never actually worship with them. That's one thing I know is really kind of stinks about preaching. But anytime I'm able to like sit here at the building and work on something, I sit there and I think, man, why am I working so hard outside of this building?
Oh yeah,
for things that don't matter. I would rather be preaching or doing something like, you guys going out there and preaching stuff. Like, I'd rather be doing something like that, but without that kind of skill set. I have a different skill set, and so then I work on that way. But it's just because I don't like working for other people and for the vain things that those things bring. I would much rather be working in service for God, and that's my own FOMO, right? That's my own kind of issue.
You're struggling with Ecclesiastes. I have seen the works which have been done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and striving after wind.
Right. And I would much rather focus on 1 Corinthians and focus on that and doing work for the church. Sure. So I think that's, I have that issue about the value of the work outside of the building.
Well, and your work matters because you're providing for your family.
Well, and you're also being an example to those outside the church. I think that at least in our society and culture, working hard is well respected. Like among secular, non-religious people, like even if you work hard, that's respected, and if you don't work hard, that's not respected. And I don't know if that was necessarily true in the first century. I kind of think that it was, but Paul in 1 Thessalonians 4:11-12, he says, "Make it your ambition to lead a quiet life, attend to your own business, and work with your hands, just as we have commanded you, so that you'll behave properly toward outsiders and not be in any need." I think that Paul was giving those Christians an admonition to work, because that was going to be an example to those outside the church. And I think that they respect hard work. I think that is a biblical, 100% biblical
There's
idea.
like so many reasons. It keeps us from sin. That's 2 Thessalonians 3:10-12. If anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. For I hear some among you walk in idleness, not busy at work, but busybodies. There's so many great reasons to have that kind of work ethic.
Have we read Colossians 3? No, we haven't. John, you're supposed to read that.
You wouldn't let me.
Yeah, so John, I'm going to let you know. Read Colossians 3:17 and then 23 and 24.
Yeah, so and whatever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. And whatever you do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ.
So like Paul is saying, no matter what we're doing, secular or not secular, religious, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus. Whatever we're doing, work as though we're working for the Lord rather than for men, because we're going to get our reward from the Lord. How often do you think of that?
I think
I'm not working for men. I'm working for God.
I think of that when I think about
every day.
Well, Kyle, that's tough.
You can't be a part of this conversation right now, Kyle.
I think about it a lot in the last few years. Not really enjoying my work sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a great providing for my family.
Yeah.
It's just not, it doesn't bring me the sense of gratification and passion that other work has in the past.
Yeah.
And so I have to remind myself of the scripture. I have to remind myself it's not for my own vanity and desire to enjoy and be able to share that I do something that's amazing and important here on earth.
Yeah.
It fulfills its need completely.
You get us box suites at the baseball park,
there was
John, so there's a value to what you do.
But also I kick against it too, that honestly, how many times have I been unemployed? I've had a lot of jobs, guys. Have I been unemployed, and how I don't want to look ungrateful for that work. I don't want to be ungracious for that job, even though I maybe not like the job, and I'll maybe look for something else that I enjoy more.
Yeah.
For the amount of time, I would encourage people who do not maybe enjoy their work to really understand that there was a time probably when you're praying for that job, and you're asking God for that job.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're looking that gift horse in the mouth, right? You're looking at that, and now you're saying
you have a bird in your hand.
Yeah, and it's I wanted it, God, but didn't turn out to be what I really wanted and thought I wanted. So give me something better. That's what I try to think about.
The benefit and the blessing that your work is, not necessarily the drudgery that it might be on some days.
It's a gift from God.
Yeah.
And the work and what I can do with it and providing, which makes me feel a little closer to those boomers and people who just did work because it was work. Yeah. I mean, the idea of it, we're doing a job that you love and enjoy and is a passion, was something my mom shifted to. She said, do something you'll enjoy.
Yeah.
But that's not what the advice that everyone gave her and them before.
Yeah,
no one ever gave that advice before. It just shifted in the 80s and 90s when there were lots of good economy and stuff. Well, fine, might as well you're going to do something you enjoy.
Yeah. Solomon gives that admonition in Ecclesiastes. He says, find joy in your work. I got to find that passage.
Yeah.
But one of the blessings of work is to find, there it is, Ecclesiastes 5:18-20. Find some satisfaction in the work that you're doing in your toil under the sun.
But I always had this sense that I needed to do something meaningful.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to spend 40% of my entire life, 150,000 hours of something, which I think that's what it is, then I might as well do something that's worthwhile of it, right? And do something that's valuable.
How do you know what you're doing is not worthwhile or valuable?
Well, that's the thing it is.
Yeah.
I'm providing for my family. I'm showing them a good work ethic.
Sure.
I'm raising my kids. I'm able to work for the weekend. I'm able to worship God on Sundays because I have that 9 to 5.
Yeah.
There's lots of different values. It's just the perspective shifts over time, and we let ourselves look over the fence. We let ourselves
grass is always greener.
We let ourselves convince ourselves it's not, but they are gifts from God. And I think as we look at in employment, we should adapt a stronger mindset of being content.
I'm just trying to mesh here, like working for God with doing secular work, and regardless of what kind of work we are doing, as long as it's moral. We can be an example and a light to others. In fact, in Philippians 2, I hear this a lot at work, complaining about the work. I'm guilty of complaining about my work and being asked to do certain jobs. And I have certain coworkers who I know, like I can think of them and be like, oh, well, that person is a complainer. And in Philippians 2, verse 14 and 15, Paul reminds us, don't complain, don't grumble. And when we do that, we're going to stand out. We're going to shine as lights if we don't complain. The last thing that I wanted to go over, it's a little bit of a rough transition here, but I don't know if I was ever really taught how to work hard. Like it was just kind of like, well, you just go to work, right? Like, get the job done or whatever that is. And so I was thinking of, how do you work hard? And I think to work hard, it takes some thinking. There's that parable that Jesus uses, or maybe, I don't know if it's a parable. He asks the question, which of you, builds a tower without first counting the cost? And if you don't count the cost, then you're going to end up, you're not going to be able to build the tower. So there are some principles, I think, in there that teach us a little bit about work. Number one is having a goal, having an aim in mind. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I truly aiming for, shooting at? Number two is, what resources do I have? How much time do I have? What materials do I have? What other things will I need in order to accomplish this work? And then to put those things together in a stepwise fashion. Step A, step B. These things logically follow one from another until you get to the goal or don't get to the goal. And if you don't, then you think about, okay, why didn't I get there? And you change course. And if you did get there, great. And you move on to the next thing. So I guess working hard is not rocket science, but I do think that it takes thought. We have to think about, what am I doing? Where am I going? And how is this going to help me get there?
Working hard is just ignoring all the reasons why you shouldn't or couldn't, or why it's going to be harder, and then just do it. I mean, I don't think it's that hard. I think we intuitively know work that seems hard. I would rather sit on this couch and click that TV button. And we're all lazy at some point in time. We'd all want a rest. And I don't think rest is bad. But that's the whole point of like Ecclesiastes and all the other verses is, when's the rest happen? After good hard work.
Oh, That's the 10%, not the 90%.
Yeah, everyone deserves a good rest after hard work. Can I just say, though, I do think there's some times when we're lazy. I think we're all lazy. But there's so many more dangers sometimes of being a workaholic and overworking than I think there are. I think there's a balance. So this episode is talking about having a good work ethic and thinking about work in a positive way and spurring one to work hard and to do it for the Lord. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. But I do think on the other side of that one is sometimes work can be an escapism. Sometimes it's a way to define ourselves outside of God. Sure. We can work in career achievements, take precedence in our lives, at detriment of our family and our relationships with other Christians and God.
Where we focus our efforts matters. It's not just, our secular work to earn a paycheck. Like that's not the only work there is. In fact, it's not the most important work. It's necessary. Certainly it's necessary, but it may not be the most important.
Solomon said, do not toil to acquire wealth. Be discerning enough to desist.
Yeah.
In Proverbs 23:4. In this case, we need to understand when to stop working.
Yeah.
For the acquisition of wealth.
Well, do not lay up for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. So if we get to a point where, and I don't know how someone outside can tell you when that's happened, but it's more for you to make that internal decision and acknowledgement that I'm no longer working to provide. I'm working to store up treasure on earth instead of in heaven. So I don't know exactly what that looks like, but on self-reflection, if that's what you see in your life, you need to make some changes.
Yeah, and I want to go to 1 Timothy 5:8. I think for my point in this is it says, but if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he is denied faith and is worse than an unbeliever. We look at that, and I think sometimes we conflate the idea that our goal is to provide and bring in money and put a roof over our heads and support the family. And if we don't, we're as worse as an unbeliever. But the way I think about provide is providing the needs of the family. There are times where you can look back at
you have to have a third car.
Yeah, exactly.
And at least a 2,500 square foot house.
Yeah. Well, think about it this way. Let's look in reverse. How do you know if you're working too hard and you're not providing for the other needs of your family?
Well, I think
what other needs would there be for the family?
Well, I think we see that like when you look at the qualifications of an elder, that he manages his family well. You cannot manage your family well if you are not there, or if the only thing you are ever doing is working in a secular sense. So I think that there's more to being a provider than simply bringing in a paycheck.
We see this when we look into the community and we listen to the news, and when people talk about homes without fathers, and we're talking here, we are fathers, so that's the context that I'll put this in. But
sure.
A home without a father, people are more likely to end up in jail and a life of crime. All these other statistics, right?
Yeah.
So I would leave it with this. The other bookend of this is if you find yourself in constant fatigue, skipping rest, guilt when not working, strained relationships, missing family time, defining your identity or worth through your productivity, neglecting spiritual, physical, or emotional health, you're probably working too much. And you're probably looking at this work ethic and valuing it more than everything else. And it's a balance. We have to maintain a balance because your kids need you emotionally. They need you physically there. They need these things just as much as they need the food in their bellies and the roof over their head.
I think what you're talking about is what Paul references in Ephesians 5:15. Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use
of your time,
of the time, because the days are evil. Is there a time that you should use to provide the physical things for your family? Yes. Is that all you should be doing? Absolutely not. There's much more to providing. Or regardless of your state in life, whether you're a mom or a dad or a young person who's single, there's more to life than just work.
We have to look introspectively around ourselves. We have to listen to our kids, our wives, our spouses, and everyone. We have to listen to our friends and our family members. We're gonna have to be really open to understanding how they see us and they view us. Because that's one thing I did ask my kids. I said, I would actually kind of probe and ask them, what does daddy do at this time of day? Or are they thinking that all I do is work, or all I'm doing something else? Am I not? Am I saying no to playing with Legos? Where is my mind and my focus? And that can just be, as Kyle, we talked about this with preachers and stuff too, that we can also put the perspective of working for the Lord and neglect our families and neglect our time at home and other things. Sometimes we can put that on a pedestal and say it's for that, but we've talked about so many preachers that look back and then realize that they ministered to 200 people,
but not to their family,
but not the ones that they had at home.
Yeah.
And so that's a constant focus. We all need it.
Well, I think there's a difference too between quantity of work and quality of work.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to share about work ethic. It's important to work very hard when we have the opportunity to work hard, but that work is not the only thing. And to remember that, and this is something that I really need to work on, is that we're not just working for, in our job, for the man or for another person, but we're working for God. The all-seeing eye. He sees what we are doing and he'll reward it, whether it be here on this earth and in this life, and he does bless us, or if it's going to be in eternity. But working hard is certainly something we should be doing without complaining, but it's not the only thing we should be doing. Like you said, John, there's much more to life than just work.
Thanks, Nate. I really appreciate this conversation. Obviously, we had a lot to say about it, probably a little longer episode, but just want to encourage you to take this information into your own lives. Have these conversations with your friends and family members about your own work. Ask what do they think about your work ethic. Share these kinds of things. We're here modeling Christian conversations for you. We all haven't figured everything out.
Christian discussions.
Okay, you're right. Bite-sized discussions. And so have these conversations with your friends and family and loved ones, and do some self-reflection. But whatever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord, and focus on that. And I think you'll be in the right shape. Thanks for listening. As always, share this if you found it valuable to someone who's working too much. Or not enough.
Even if you didn't find it valuable,
someone who's lazy. No.
Please,
if you're listening at work, get back to work.
Yeah, get back to work. Or just listen. While you guys were talking and doing the outtake type thing, I was going to go.
What is that from?
You don't listen to the outtakes? We had this little
is that the
song thing.
Well, I know the ditty, but that just didn't sound like the ditty.
Isn't it? Is that not it?
No, I don't think that's.
Or it's something like that.
I know when outtakes are coming because I hear the tone. By the way, your thing if it takes if I wait till the last minute, it only takes a minute. That's a law called Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time allotted for it. So I stopped giving my students a week to do an essay. I started giving them 1 hour. They'll get it done.
They accept it.
You legitimately don't see color.
I legitimately don't see color.
I'm not a full ginger. I'm just a light-skinned ginger.
I have red in my beard.
You're a day walker.
I have red in my beard.
It doesn't count.
Why not?
Have you ever been bullied because of your hair color? Yeah, unless you've been bullied because of it, it doesn't count.
I've been bullied because of my large widow's peak.
Have you ever been called Carrot Top?